After 115 states signed an agreement banning the sales and production of cluster munition in 2010, a recent report found more than 150 financial institutions are still investing in them indirectly. As Huda Al-Said reports, it's also been revealed that a number of those institutions are British.
In spite of a ban under international law, more than 150 financial institutions worldwide invested £17 billion in companies producing deadly cluster bombs. It's now apparent that 7 of these financial institutions are British. The Netherlands-based peace and security NGO PAX published a report revealing the scale of investment in companies producing these outlawed weapons between June 2011 and September 2014. In their report entitled Worldwide Investment in Cluster Munitions, it lists banks and pension funds among the financial institutions. The co-author of the report, Suzanne Oosterwich, is urging financial institutions to do more to tackle the problem.
Cluster munitions are banned by international law. A majority of the countries in the world have recognized that this weapon is unacceptable, and yet cluster munition producers are still able to fund their activities. Financial institutions should introduce robust policies to ensure they're not supporting companies involved in the production of this banned weapon.
Deployed in over 35 states, cluster munitions have killed and wounded tens of thousands of people and destroyed the livelihoods of many others. And following years of campaigning, cluster munitions were banned by international law in a 2008 Oslo Convention, with the law coming into effect in 2010. And yet, after 115 countries signed the agreement, the notable absentees are the US, China and Russia, with the US insisting the weapon is legal. A loophole found in the convention is that it's not illegal to invest in companies that produce cluster munition. So while production is banned, investment is not. The 2013 PAX report shows loans by financial institutions to companies involved in cluster munitions almost doubled from 1.4 billion to 2.8 billion pounds this year, and more than half of these investors are from the US.
The only sure way to end this practice is by introducing legislation. So we're asking countries, the UK, France, Germany, Australia, Japan, and others that have outlawed this weapon to ensure that investment in cluster munitions, which is assistance in the production of cluster munitions, is outlawed.
Under UK legislation, it's illegal to directly finance cluster bombs, yet British laws do not prohibit indirect financing of these weapons. And in total, 7 British financial institutions are investing in companies that manufacture these deadly bombs. In comparison, several countries have gone a step further, prohibiting public or private financial institutions from investing in cluster munitions. Of them, Ireland, Italy and Belgium. And it's hoped that other countries will follow in their footsteps.
Now we're joined by media coordinator for the Campaign Against Arms Trade, Andrew Smith, who joins us over the phone from London. Thank you for joining the bulletin, Mr. Smith. Firstly, are the UK aware of the financial firms investing in these companies, or do you think they're turning a blind eye?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on today. I think the main issue we're seeing here is that there is clearly a loophole in the law which needs to be tightened, and the financial institutions are most interested in maximising their profits and therefore I think are very happy to exploit any loopholes. We would give the government the benefit of the doubt and hope that they were unaware of this loophole and that they will work fast and work internationally to ensure it's closed as soon as possible.
Now that they've become aware, do you think do you think there are going to be any changes now?
I would certainly hope so, because now that the government is aware, it has an obligation to close this loophole. The government has acted to ban cluster bombs and should be making sure that UK companies are not making a profit from cluster bombs. I mean, what is very apparent is a lack of morality, not just on the part of the arms companies who are producing the cluster bombs, but also an amoral approach from the financial institutions who are investing in strengthening these companies that make cluster bombs. However, we think the issue goes wider than cluster bombs. Cluster bombs are abhorrent, but they're only a very small part of the much wider arms industry. I think that there should be a block on the investment in any companies that are making profit from war and conflict, whether that's through cluster bombs or whether it's through other weaponry as well.
Now, Andrew, we understand that it's illegal in the UK to directly finance cluster bombs, yet British law does not prohibit indirectly financing these weapons. Why have they not closed in on this loophole?
Well, there's an awful lot of loopholes in almost every single area of finance and investment law. And the major financial institutions pay a lot of people a lot of money to find what these loopholes are and exploit them as much as possible. And I think in this instance, I would give the government benefit of the doubt insofar as I think that this will be news to them, the scale of it anyway. But these are 7 major firms, and there was a lot of money. I mean, the global figures which we're looking at are staggering, £17 billion. So that means that the issue is international. It's not just a UK issue. So it does need an international solution. But our government needs to be at the forefront of doing something about this and saying this is wrong.
And do you think it's significant that the US have, vehemently denied to outlaw this weapon?
Well, yes, but the US's foreign policy has been based on militarism and based on military strength for a long time, and that goes wider than cluster bombs. Cluster bombs are abhorrent weapons. They kill indiscriminately, and they have killed tens of thousands of people and can destroy lives and livelihoods. But they are part of a bigger problem, and that bigger problem is the militarism which is at the heart of foreign policy.
I mean, clearly this weapon has been outlawed and banned under international law, Mr. Smith. So why are certain states still producing and using it?
Well, the only reason that a company would produce a cluster bomb, in the same way the only reason a company would produce any kind of weapon is because they want to profit from it. And in order to make a profit, these companies need war and conflict to exist. And unfortunately, if there's demand for it, there will always be money-hungry arms companies who are looking to produce it. We think that all countries should cease the construction and trading of cluster bombs. We think that needs to go much further as well and outlaw weapons which are just as deadly but don't get as much attention.
Okay, so we're just going to have to leave it there. Media coordinator for the Campaign Against Arms Trade, Andrew Smith, thank you very much for your time.